What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR and Bitcoin today. We are still riding underneath our trend line. It looks like that's holding as a key level of resistance, struggling to break through it here on the weekly. We're currently sitting at 394 after hours. And when you take a look at the daily, you can see we're just pulling back. And it kind of lines up with this Fibonacci level that we were speaking of. We always talk about the 0.5 to 618 because price tends to retrace about 50% of its move before continuing in that direction, and it looks like it's happening here. When you zoom out, it's still incredibly bullish, still a very nice bull flag with higher targets. We'll see if MSTR actually starts to perform. MSTR is a little more complex than a standard stock, as we all know, and it has not been performing with Bitcoin as it should. I think we all know that as well. Volume has been relatively low. When you take a look here on the daily, we were at 10 million again, and yesterday was 8 million, and the day prior was 10 million, and the average is around 11.5 to 12 million for the average day of volume, and even then that's still low volume in general for a stock like MSTR. That's why we don't see major price swings like we saw over here, and over here. Really, nothing has changed. We're still in our breakout period where we broke out of here. We're retesting, like we already spoke about. When we break out of a structure, we tend to come back. That's what we did. And now we're just struggling to break this long-term trend line and bottom of the channel. And we're kind of just stuck underneath it and just trending sideways for the time being. We do have a couple things above our head that are suppressing price as well. When you look at the weekly SMAs, you can see the 20 is holding as a key level of support. When you take a look here at the daily, you can see the SMAs, the 20 and the 50, are acting as resistance that should be holding price down, and it looks like it has been. After getting a close underneath the 50, we said possibly retest and push further down. Looks like that's what we did. We pushed down to 382 today, and then we ended up closing at 389 or so, closer to 390. On the 4-hour, we are playing underneath our 20 moving average as well, after finding a major resistance level off of the 50 moving average. When we take a look here at Bitcoin, this is looking very nice. It's doing exactly what we were hoping it would do. Have a little cool off period, start slowly breaking higher. It got rejected off of this key level that we were speaking of, and now we just surpassed this wick over here. We're looking very good. Now we still have 17 days left for Bitcoin to close on the monthly, but this is a very nice start. It would be very bullish to get a monthly close outside of this zone. And here on the weekly, we still have 3 days and 23 hours, but we are pushing above this wick. We're sitting above that 123,200, which was our last local high. We'll see if this momentum can carry on and potentially retest and continue that move higher. On the daily, we got our close, which was incredibly bullish, at 123,368, and that is what we wanted to see, because now we closed above this wick, which is pretty much that last line in the sand before we can start to push up higher to this midline of the channel. Now, some levels to watch out for, like we already spoke of, is this fib level here. We saw resistance at the 1272, so ideally we'd like to break this, hold, bounce as support, and make our way up to the 1618, where we could find resistance in confluence with this mid-trend line, the middle of the channel, and the 1618. So that would be confluence together to push price down, or at least trend sideways temporarily. Once we hit the 135 to maybe even 140 mark, expect some kind of sideways chop. Of course, we can always slow down for a week and continue up. Once momentum is really going in Bitcoin, this thing is hard to stop, and the sideways chop will get shorter and shorter until we get our blow off top. But speaking of the end of the cycle, we aren't there yet based off of historics. As you can see, we're only sitting at 75 on the RSI, and we have seen moves up to 90 and 95. And if you were to take this top here, connect this in a downward sloping way, then ideally, depending on when we touch it, if we were to touch it in, for instance, let's say December, and we take that straight up, then 83.8 roughly could be our next top on the RSI, and that could be the end of this cycle. So we'll see. Like I said, we're only sitting at 74, so we still have 9 more points on the RSI to continue higher. So this is looking very bullish, higher highs and higher lows, and we're pushing well above our yellow moving average. Here on the weekly, we're breaking back into overbought territory. We saw 3 recent moves, 23, 24, and the end of 24, like that November, December craze. And those were all pretty significant moves. So we'll see if we can get something similar and get a nice aggressive move to the upside before potentially falling over. Which brings me to my next point of global liquidity. I still think we have higher to go on Bitcoin and Bitcoin related assets or crypto related assets or just risk on assets really. Because of global liquidity, as we still have this piece right here. I don't know exactly where we're at, but I'm just going to say that we're here, for instance. We still have that piece to go. We could be halfway through. We could be still in the beginning. Who knows? But like I said, we have this major cool-off period that will be coming. So I don't know when it's going to come, and I'm not going to act like I do to get you guys excited. I'm not going to do that. But it is going to come at some point. I don't know how much higher. I still think we're in the beginning of this move to the upside, hopefully. And like I said, be ready for a little bit of resistance and chop and like a slowdown at that 1618 and give a little bit of room to the upside. So as we hit the 1618, start understanding, okay, we could be at a level of resistance, but expect some kind of push up for like the excitement and FOMO, and then a little bit of a wick, maybe pull back down, and then play off that 1618 level. Remember, these levels are guides. They're not exact targets. On the weekly MACD, we're well above in the bullish territory, and momentum's kind of just sideways, but it's still steady. And on the daily, we're looking very good. We got the blue curling up very well, going steep, and we have a steep increase in momentum to the upside. You can see that going straight vertical like we saw over here. Hopefully it can be a continued move to higher levels and get this thing pushing up to that 1618 level. On the 8-day EMA, you can see we got our bounce off of that, and we shot right off of it as this holds the trend pretty well intact for at least short-term trends, over maybe a week or so or a week and a half. They're pretty solid levels to hold, and we tend to come back to retest them. So hopefully the moving average will slowly just creep up, and then our pullback will come back to this like 123 level after pushing higher. That'll be our pullback, and then we can continue that move even higher. And on the 4-hour, kind of the same concept. We will come back to retest that at some point and then continue that trend. Now on to MSTR divided by IBIT. We have spoken about this, and I even put it in a post where I was saying a while back, I was talking about a bear flag potentially being played out. Once we started riding up this trend line after this leg, I was saying, depending on where we find this local top, we could have a measured move, and it was right here, which is where we found our top. And then I know some people were upset that I said that, and they're saying pretty much that I'm wrong. And people like to come after you whenever you make YouTube videos because people are upset that they're losing money and it has nothing to do with me. So they just come out here to blow off their steam. So people were mad that I was saying this, and I don't know, it looks like it kind of played out to me. If you want to be exact, it'll actually play out at 5.49, but this is close enough to me. It was that bull flag or bear flag that we spoke about. We have this one leg, we rode up and pushed back down, and then of course we're going to talk about fib levels, which always it plays a role. I mean, I don't know, you guys tell me. I mean, you can always pull them and find that you found some kind of flip or something, or continuation of a trend or some kind of level of support or resistance off these fib levels. They never fail. So you can see that fib level 0.5 to the 618 is where we found the continuation of the move to the downside, and it created the bear flag that we spoke about, the possible bear flag that we spoke about. I didn't say it was going to happen for sure, because I never do, because I didn't know this was going to happen. But I also saw it forming at the same time, So I'm being aware of it, but at the same time, MSTR divided by IBIT could have just gone like this, retested, and absolutely shot up, which is what I wanted. I also took this in consideration and said MSTR could underperform IBIT because of this pattern being played out. And it looks like that's what happened. I guess on the more bullish side, it's still very early for it to happen, but this could be a left shoulder. This could be the formation of a head if we were to kind of continue like this, push up. Maybe we find resistance off of here, push back down, start to create the right shoulder. And now we have an inverse head and shoulders, which is a target to the upside. I could also see that playing out. I'm visualizing it ahead of time, kind of like what I did here. Not saying it's going to happen. Would it be nice to happen for MSTR? For sure. But just trying to detect these moves a little early just to kind of give you a little bit of guidance as to what to look out for. Remember, I make these videos to help you guys out, kind of just show you what I'm seeing. I'm not here to, break anybody's heart and tell you that your stock sucks or anything. I'm just telling you what I see. So don't get butthurt about it and don't come after me. And if you do and I say something slick, don't get butthurt because you're coming after me. Here on MSTR divided by IBIT, we have fallen underneath the 50 week. So that's playing a key level as resistance, as you can see, and the 20. And we got a larger move on the daily. We had the 20 and the 50 pushing underneath the 200, which is another reason why we were even more bearish once we got to this point and said, okay, this could definitely start to play out because we have this move played out and we're about halfway through the leg and we just fell underneath our 200 day. That was that along with all these other signs kind of made me believe, okay, this thing could potentially play out. Like the odds are starting to increase. That's pretty much everything in the market. When you're looking at these patterns or levels, they're pretty much just increasing your odds because no matter what you say, there is nothing that's 100%. I know you guys want this fantasy world of 100%. This is what's going to happen. It's bullshit. It's not going to happen. So you can say it as much as you want and you can listen to the people that are going to tell you this is exactly the price. Bitcoin's going to $452,125. Let them blow smoke up your ass. I'm not going to do that. And if you don't like it, man, just unsubscribe. I don't really care, bro. I make it for the people that are understanding, that want to, get a real view of what's happening. So if you don't want that, please unsubscribe right now. People unsubscribe every single day, so it's cool. Now here on Tether Dominance. This is playing out very well. As you spoke about, the downtrend that we've had on the Tether Dominance, it's actually starting to speed up even quicker than I thought. We're actually making it to the blue line relatively quick. I wonder if we could fall underneath a little bit and then wick back up. But if I were to just take a guess, remember this is a guess. I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like we could get something like this right here. I could see a major double bottom being played out and a double bottom within a double bottom. Let me show you. So I think we could get this as a double bottom and then we touch this. That's going to be our double bottom, right? But within this double bottom, I could see this double bottom playing out like we saw here, where we touch the blue line, we push back up, we'll get a fall on Bitcoin, we come back to the blue line, and then we make a significant move, which would be a major drop on Bitcoin, which maybe that lines up with that global liquidity drop that I keep speaking of. Maybe that's when it happens. Maybe it could happen on the first bounce or it could happen on the second one. I don't know. Yeah, be aware of that. We are getting close to this blue line, which has historically found tops in the market for Bitcoin. And I'll overlay Bitcoin so you guys can see that. So time and time again, you can see right here, local top on Bitcoin, 2017. You had a local top here in 2019 when we touched it, and so on. It just keeps happening. 21, again in 21 for the double top. March 24, then we had it for the December craze, the late November, early January 2025. It could be happening again once we make that touch. Maybe we end up getting some kind of move down to cool off, and then we either continue up higher if this is an extended move, or it could be the end of the cycle. Just want you guys to look at both sides of the scenario. Make sure you see it clear, so you're not caught off guard. Things are looking pretty good here on Bitcoin though. Tether dominance is increasing momentum to the downside. It's looking very nice, honestly. We're really close. It's 3.82, 3.84, somewhere around there. It depends on when we touch it, but that would be the top, at least locally, a local top. It doesn't have to be the end of the cycle. We got our 20 pushing down on our 50, incredibly bearish, which is good for Bitcoin. And we're well above our 20 on the daily. And on the 4 hour, same thing. 50 pushing underneath the 200. And this thing is just creating fresh lows, which I love to see. And it looks like we could be falling to that next level of support. So we do have a lot of wicking action, so drawing a level of support is going to be kind of challenging, but I guess you could do something like, because you kind of have a level here and you have another level underneath, so it'd be something like that really. But somewhere in this ballpark, I would imagine that we find our floor, maybe double bottom, and then rip off of that, and then that's going to be super bearish for Bitcoin. That's pretty much all I have for you guys. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe. I enjoy all your support. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.